hardcore, coffee and hardcore. Do it to the right. We got the double, we got the juice, we got the dope, we got reviews, we got the gold from you out the portal. If you'd like to back, you better support them. Coffee and hardcore, coffee and hardcore, coffee and hardcore. Full speed ahead. Coffee and hardcore, coffee and hardcore, coffee and hardcore. Come on, try to ride.
What's up, Coffee and Hardcore listeners? This is Wiley Willis and my trusty co-host,
Mick Cox.
There's a little bit of lag between Chicago and I'm just kidding. Anyways, Coffee and Hardcore, that was a theme song for our podcast by Battle Royale from here in Chicago. And I got a hold of those guys. I got a hold of the guitar player, Jim. I think it's Slattery or Slatery. Man, I don't know. I'm butchering that name. I'm gonna go with Slatery because I know that's not it, but that sounds awesome.
It actually sounds like Slayer, so that makes it tougher.
Yeah, exactly. But they were so kind. We're reviewing their newest album on Hardcore and Coffee, and I actually got tapes made. They're one of the people we got tapes made for, the 25 tapes for those bands. And okay, so I know we talked about this stuff. We'll lay this all out on the table here. So Mick and I already did this podcast once.
Yes, we tried.
Was it 3 weeks ago?
Yes, about 3 weeks.
Okay,
yes.
About 3 weeks ago. So we interviewed Marshall, who's going to be our guest, who later on in the show here, who is adopting. Him and his wife and his family are adopting, and so they actually are having what they did, like a coffee thing to raise money for the adoption. Correct?
Yes.
We'll talk about that. Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that. So is our interview for that coffee in that section still?
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. So then
we talk about the coffee that they're fundraising for their adoption. So,
correct.
Yes.
So a little of this. So stick with me. This is our first one, and since we have to redo it, I don't know what we talked about and we're keeping and what we didn't. But basically, I had to buy a new headset, a new microphone, because my headset wasn't cutting it. Mick sent me, the tracks of the podcast, and I was listening back. And Marshall, the guest, sounded about 20 times better than I did, and I was like, "Ooh, if I'm going to be a co-host, I better drop some money on this and do it the right way." So, so I think we did that. You and I bantered back and forth, and we even did a test. So.
And it sounds good. So
yeah, hopefully.
Awesome.
I was having some problems with the P's and the B's, but I bought a little. I went on eBay and bought a little foam covering for my microphone, so I think we're okay.
Like you're legit. Like you have the whole setup now.
I'm legit. I'm a podcaster. Thanks to you.
I think you might be a little more legit than I am. So.
Yeah, right. You actually have. Oh, by the way, listeners, Mick has a podcast. Tell us about your podcast.
I've got one other podcast called the Bearded Hope Podcast, and basically that's just me with either by myself or a guest, and we just talk about hope in the real world. No matter where anybody comes from, what phase of life, where they're at, how they see things spiritually, what we really want to just talk about is just hope in the real world. And I think we need that like crazy right now. So we talk to other folks. And then my wife and I are actually working on another podcast. This is kind of cool, called The Dwelling.
I've been seeing that online. You have videos.
Yep. Yeah. And it's just us kind of talking about real life in the real world, with family and interacting with folks, and just not that we aren't already extremely laid back, but it's like really laid back, just hanging out sometimes.
Yeah. On your couch, right?
Yeah. On the couch or outside on the deck, whatever, but just really just hanging out and talking about life and marriage and kids and the heart and hope and all kinds of stuff like that too. So it's just a good fun time.
So you're technically doing 3 podcasts.
Oh yeah, and if you count
your church,
that would make 4.
So how in the world did I ever talk you into doing a 4th podcast? Because this is your newest one.
It is. Well, it's because we're talking about 2 of my favorite subjects: coffee and hardcore.
Oh yeah, that's how I got them.
That's it.
But I remember when I called you, I was like, man, because Mick and I, we met, how did we meet? We met at a show, right? In Michigan.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think about that because somehow you and I started talking through Facebook, and I think it was because of Dave from Zap. I think that's how things connected. And then we were
how did that work? I'm really honest. I don't know. Like, did you reach out to me about getting on the label, or did I suggest you be on the label?
I think you reached out to us. I think that's right. You introduced us to Dave because Zap was getting ready to do a comp.
Yeah, and I loved your band at the time. You're not in that band's not around anymore, correct?
It is incog. What would be the right word to use? There's only 2 of us left. So
you and Eric, bass and vocals.
Yeah, bass and vocals. That's all we've got left. We've got a couple guys that want to do stuff, but it
wouldn't be To Live as Sons, correct?
No, it might sound somewhat the same, but I don't know. It's just kind of in the it's just out there, ready to be picked up whenever it can be.
So your band To Live as Sons, it's you and Eric, and for the listeners who don't know, you and Eric, you were the original bass player. Eric was the original singer, am I correct?
Yes.
Of Zao.
Yes. Yep.
The ultimate famous 90s Christian hardcore kid band, Zao.
Yes, those guys.
Yeah, dude, Zao was my go-to. That I love Zao. So that was amazing when I found out that you were the Mick Cox of Zao. And To Live as Sons, I really enjoyed it as well. And so so we became label mates.
Yeah,
and then I got asked to do some. I think it was either 3 or 4. I think it was 3. I think it was 3. I think we did the Blamed reunion. I was asked to do the 3 Blamed shows.
Yep.
So I did the Blamed reunion at Audio Feed, where we did all of the album Frail. Yes. And then we did the show with you with To Live as Sons and a bunch of other bands in Michigan in Grand Rapids. At what was that place called?
Take Hold Fest.
Take Hold Fest. That's right. Yep. And then we also did a show in Milwaukee, I want to say, with Project 86.
Well, I don't think I was there for that one, though.
No, you weren't there for that one.
You're talking about for the Blame. That's right.
Yeah, for the Blame. That was an interesting show. I got to meet Andrew of Project 86. I interviewed him because, remember, I was planning on doing that documentary. I interviewed you and Eric as well.
Oh, that's right. The spirit-filled kind of like hardcore.
Yeah, well, it was gonna come out with like the new Blamed album, but then I ended up stepping down before that album came out. And I know we had this conversation because we recorded this podcast already, but I talked to our drummer of 2 Minute Minor, Zach, who was going to edit it all, and I still, fingers crossed, think there's going to be something in the works in the far future.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not off the table, but if he hears this, it might stress him out. So it's going to be in the far future because he's a new homeowner, and so he's pretty stressed right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, between mixing the new 2 Minute Minor records, we got two kind of working at the same time because of COVID. What happened, Right. It kind of shut down production to the Michigan chapter, and then I'm working on the newest What's Your Damage with him too. So. That kind of is stressing him out because he's a new homeowner. But back to Mick Cox and Coffee and Hardcore. I'm going down some different avenues here.
It's all right.
So we met at Take Hold Fest. I interviewed you guys. We shared the same stage together in that big basketball.
Pretty much skate ramp, basketball, whatever that was.
Yeah, the room where when you sang, it like bounced off the wall and hit you back in the back of the head.
Yes.
Like that was interesting. That was a little bit hard to do because I could hear myself in my monitor right away, but then I also heard myself like a second later.
And you went 3. I mean, you were in 3 bands that night, right? It was the Blamed, October Bird of Death, and 2 Minute Minor, right? all three played that night, or at least in 2 days?
I don't know. Did 2 Minute Minor play?
Maybe it was just October. Maybe it was just October.
Yeah, I think it was just the two. I think it was Octobird and the Blamed.
Yeah,
That's
right. You're right, because I'm thinking of the Satire, because the Satire played too.
Oh yeah. So that means Sid did 3 shows that night.
I knew somebody did 3 shows.
Yeah, he played guitar in Satire and Octobird, and then he played bass in the Blamed.
Wow.
I know. So that's how we basically met in person. Right. That's how we met each other. Was at that show. You were in To Live as Sons, and I was in 6 bands.
Yes.
But that was a good time. That was good meeting you. I hope we can do it again too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've talked a lot since then. I was even on your Bearded Hope podcast.
Yes. Yeah, last year. It was a good time.
Yeah. And I did the logo for you.
Yes, which is killer, which I'm working on shirts
Thanks,
for
man.
that soon. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're killer. So
I appreciate that.
No problem.
I have an outline here, but we're talking 90s basketball and nostalgia.
Okay.
Because everyone knows that 90s basketball goes with hardcore and coffee. Right? We all know that, right?
Sure.
So basically, I've been going through, this has been going on for the last 5 years. I'll be 40 in March, and I've been kind of reminiscing on my, nostalgia. And I went and, oh man, this is so crazy. I went and bought this Toxic Crusader. Do you remember Toxic Crusaders?
Yes, I do.
The cartoon of the Toxic Avenger, basically.
Yes.
Well, that was one of my favorite movies and cartoons when I was a kid. So I, about 6 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago now, went out and bought, online, the Toxie, from Toxic Crusaders.
Right.
I bought the action figure, and I got it in this encasement in the original package. Dude, I dropped like $350 on it. And it's actually not funny. It's sad, but because I bought it and I opened it and I was like, yes. And I was so stoked to have it, but really it's just been sitting by my record player with all my comic books. Number 1 issue of Toxic Avenger and Judge Dredd and all these other comic books from my childhood. So I'm definitely suffering from 90s nostalgia right now.
Okay.
So let me drop this story on you real quick.
All right.
And my lady doesn't know about this. We're getting married in we're getting married in October, and so we're trying to save money. So this is where the story comes in. And she will be finding out on this podcast. So maybe this So maybe this is my way of letting her know the backstory while asking for forgiveness.
I'm going to have to do counseling later on for this.
Exactly. Hey, do you think you could do some marriage counseling for us? Remember when my 90s nostalgia hit me pretty hard?
Yeah.
It's financially it's burdening us. No, but anyways, so when I was a kid, these came out 92 or 93. I know you're a little bit older than I am. You're 5 years older than I am, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if you were into this stuff because 92, how old would I have been? I would have been 12, something like that.
Yeah, I was a junior in high school. So
okay, yeah, I think my junior year would have been 97 or something like that. Okay, so I'm 12 years old, and these Reebok Shaquille O'Neal Shaq Attack shoes come out.
Oh my!
And I remember I got these basketball magazines. I was a huge basketball, baseball, football, hockey nut, probably 91 to 2001. That was my whole life. And after 2001, I was just I'm done with sports. And now it's coming back and hitting me pretty hard, all the nostalgia of it. And so I remember when I was a kid, I grew up in, a working class family. So we didn't have a lot of money. anytime I went school shopping, I guess I was lucky. Some kids, couldn't even get new stuff. They, I guess Libby, my fiance, she got all hand-me-downs and thrift store stuff. So, but anyways, I'd have a limit. My shoes could only be $50 and I could get like 2 or 3 shirts and a pair of pants. Okay. So that was like my school shopping for clothes each year, which that's pretty good, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But these Shaquille O'Neal shoes came out and these things were like, I don't know, like $120, $130, And to me, that was like untouchable. Like I could, if I wouldn't even think about asking, my grandparents or my parents or whatever for the money. I was partially raised by my grandparents. So ask them for the money. Like that is just insane. Like, the answer is nope, go mow some lawns,
Right.
But I wanted these shoes so bad. And I remember mowing lawns, doing chores and doing all this stuff. And I ended up doing something really stupid. So I lost all the money. I don't know if I want to okay, I'll tell you. It's really bad though. No, I'm not going to say it.
All right.
You know what? I'll say it. I was 12 years old. So I was a bad kid. So I really wanted these shoes. And this is a terrible story and I feel so bad for doing it, but it's true and it happens. So I might as well embrace it. I wanted these shoes so bad. I was working for them, but instead of actually, grinding down and working for them, me and this other neighborhood kid, we broke into this rich kid's house who lived in the neighborhood. And his parents, he was kind of a turd back then. Like you could tell he was rich and he let you know. And he always had like the newest basketball jerseys, the newest like shoes. He'd always have like a new basketball, like a brand new, like awesome basketball hat, like just like all the stuff we wanted as kids, but we couldn't afford or get,
Right.
And he always had like the authentic jerseys with the stitching. And we had like those champion ones that were like ironed on. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like the ones for like $50. He had like these ones that were like $200, like the stitch on stuff. And so, and like all these basketball cards and all this stuff. And so we actually broke into his house and the only thing I took was he had those Shaquille O'Neal shoes. And I took them. And this other kid that lived down the block, actually it was 2 other kids, they took like basketball cards and all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. Well, I remember I had them for like 3 days. And I felt so bad about it that I actually went and told him. I said, hey, man, this is what we did. And they called the cops on us. So the cops come. I gave him back too, but I guess he was upset, which he has all right to be upset. We shouldn't have done that. We were 12, but we still should have known better. And so the cops come and I'm like, yeah, I gave the shoes back already. And they're like, okay, well, you're 12, so we can't do anything, but hopefully your parents will ground you or do whatever they do. And sure enough, got the belt, all that fun stuff. So never got the shoes basically and my dad took my whole sports card collection and put it in this huge giant chest that he had and locked it up.
Oh
yeah. And I think he ended up giving those back to me. Oh gosh, like 2 years after high school.
wow.
Yeah. So from like 12, 13 till like 18, I didn't have any of my basketball cards because I was a little shithead. So anyways, I could have done, could have buckled down, raised the money and the money that I had, we ended up giving to the family. So they wouldn't press charges. And so I think I had like 100, like 80 or 90 bucks saved. And I think we ended up I think we gave them like 300 out of all 3 of us or something like that. And they didn't press charges and we didn't go to jail or anything because we're 12,
Right.
But I felt so bad and I always wanted these shoes. And now no one feels bad for me. Now they're like, well, you don't deserve these shoes. And
I don't know, man. That kind of, to me, it's almost like a cycle of redemption. Like you confessed and went back, and now all these years later, lessons learned, life lived, and now boom. There's a good story here.
It was kind of eating me away. Like every time I wanted these shoes so bad. I made them like, it was like my idol. Like I remember I got this NBA magazine and I don't know if you remember this, but showed the picture of the Shaq shoes. He stepped on someone's face and it looked like clay, and you could see the imprint of the shoe, and it like listed what every imprint does on the bottom. Makes you jump higher, makes you, wear size 21 shoe like Shaquille O'Neal. And like, I just put those shoes on display like anytime I was in my room. But, when I left my room, I'd hide them in my toy box because I didn't want my mom or dad being like, where'd you get those shoes? And then like, I remember I put them up on my dresser on that third day, and I was just like staring at them. I'm like, this isn't right. And this isn't fun. Like I'm like sneaking and hiding these things and pulling them back out and putting them back in the toy box and pulling them back out. Like someone, you know what? He might have money and we don't have money, but they're not mine. They're his. And what we did was wrong, So,
right.
Yeah. But I was kind of a naughty little kid. I was bad. I was really bad at that when I was a kid. It stopped when I was probably like 14 or 15. I realized, okay, I can get in like actual trouble now.
Right.
Like the older I get, I should probably chill out on this. But when you're a kid, I didn't get allowance or anything like that. I didn't get any money. So it's like if I asked for it and I didn't get it, like, okay, well, I'm going to get it. I want it.
Right.
So I guess that's what I kind of did with these basketball shoes. So maybe I didn't learn a lesson here at all. I was like, I don't really have the money for these, but I'm going to buy them anyways.
So did you get them?
I did. Yeah, finally got them. And I got them in black. That's the color I always wanted them in, was black. But I stole them. When I stole them, they were white. They were the white ones. I don't like white shoes. I never really liked white shoes, but Shaq and Penny Hardaway were my favorite basketball players as a kid. And Charles Barkley was another one. Karl Malone, the mailman. I was never really into Michael Jordan. I didn't really like the Bulls. I liked Dennis Rodman, Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, and Bill Laimbeer on the Pistons. They were my jam. I liked them a lot.
You liked all the bruisers, is what you did.
Oh yeah, even in hockey, I liked the bruisers. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
But so basically, yeah, I got these shoes. So I bid on them on eBay, and it was like this. I was bidding with like 2-3 other people. And I was like, okay, if I lose this bid, I'm not going to bid anymore. Sure enough, lost the bid, up the bid. So it kind of put me in a little bit of hurt, and I feel bad, but I blame my nostalgia, and I know I'm getting married soon, and I know we're trying for a family. So it's now or never.
Yeah, you did. You got it out of your system, and it's done.
Yeah, that's my story. So basically I gotta quit. I gotta grow up. I finally gotta grow up now. Like I stopped stealing when I was 15. That was a cycle of growing up. Now I gotta stop spending money on stuff that doesn't matter.
The only, you said 90s basketball and hardcore. The only cross reference that I have there is that Zayo actually made 90s basketball Zayo jerseys. And we went and bought, we had a store in town called Gabriel Brothers that sold like jerseys and things that were not finished. Like they didn't have the team logos on them. They were all champion jerseys, but they didn't have the numbers or anything like that. And so we bought them for like $5, bought a ton of them and silk printed them ourselves and sold them like hotcakes.
I'm sure.
And
yeah, especially in the 90s, like that was big for hardcore.
Oh yeah, especially on the East Coast. Like the whole basketball jersey look was kind of real big on the East Coast there for a while.
Yeah, for sure. Basketball shorts.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, in that way, hardcore and basketball do intertwine, but I was just saying that so I could tell the story.
Well, I bridged it together.
There you go. You glued the story together.
I did. All right, so now we have the one and only. He's a rad dad. He's a cool husband. He's the former singer and lead guitar player for the parent punk band Parental Petulance. And now he's getting ready to step forward into his brand new adventure. Him and his family are looking to adopt. And we wanted to sit down and talk to him for a little bit. The one and only Marshall Brown. And just a quick note, Wiley's mic acts up a little bit during this interview, but I think we got it fixed pretty good, and it sounds pretty good. So here we go, the one and only Marshall Brown.
Marshall, what's up, brother?
Hey guys, yeah, just hanging out. Looking forward to joining in on this podcast.
Awesome. So this is my first podcast ever hosting. So I guess let's just get into it. You are looking to adopt, correct?
Yes, yeah, that's it's been kind of a mission that's been on our hearts for quite some time now. My wife Ashley and I, we're doing it. We're moving forward.
So how did that come about though? Because I know you have two boys.
Yeah, so Ashley and I started dating back in 2006, and having our eyes on getting married, and that was something that we talked about even way back then. That there's just a real need in the world that we live in for kids in the foster and adoption systems, and it's something that we knew we wanted to do, and we just weren't sure when. So we got married in 2009, and we now have two sons, like you mentioned. They're 5 and 7 years old, and things kind of lined up here recently in the last 6 months or so, and it made it really apparent that this was the right season to pursue adoption. So we did it. We're we got things set in motion, got our eyes set on that prize, and we're moving forward with hopefully giving a loving home to a kid who needs one.
So you're doing a kind of a donation thing, a raising money kind of thing through this coffee company.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we were blessed to be given a matching grant through an organization called LifeSong here in Gridley, Illinois. They agreed to match up to $10,000 in donations that were made towards our adoption fundraising, and we found out later that LifeSong actually works with Gobina, and so all the sales through our Gobina account, the profits from that go to our LifeSong account and just continue to help build up that matching grant. And that's what we're doing right now. We're pushing this coffee thing, hoping to raise some more funds to help us out with the adoption process.
And Mick, I'm new at this. We'll put a link, right? People go support.
Totally, we'll put a link for everything. We'll put up a link for the coffee. We'll put up a link for the just to give directly into the Brown Fund and help out as much as we can, get the word out.
Yeah, because Mick and I, we went and bought some coffee because we wanted to do a little review on it and support you, of course. I know I bought 2 bags. I think Mick bought 2 bags, right?
Yes. I was going to say, I got the espresso and the dark chocolate.
I got the espresso for my lady, and I got the organic blend for myself, the medium roast.
Nice.
Whole bean, yeah. So I actually brought some with me because I knew I was coming from work because I worked at the roofing supply company today. I worked there on the weekends. So I actually brought some and iced it. So I'm going to try it while we're talking in a little bit.
Nice. I've got a cup of the espresso as well that I did as a pour over. And so far it's been yeah. And so far it's been super smooth.
Now, Marshall, did you try this coffee yet?
I have not.
Oh, come on.
Are you a coffee drinker, Marshall?
Man, I feel like I'm in the totally wrong place here because I'm actually not a coffee guy. I'm more of I'm a cream and sugar with just a couple drops of coffee in it kind of guy.
Ooh, I like mine dark. I like medium roast, but I like it with nothing in it.
Yeah.
Now I can relate, Marshall, because I like cream and sugar in mine. I actually probably like a little bit too much cream in mine. But my wife got me hooked on coffee because I would never drink it, and then she kept pushing, and I finally tried it, and then I became a total coffee snob. So Marshall, we're not going to hold it against you that you don't drink coffee. That's all right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, sorry. We'll get better at rambling probably and not do as much later on once I get better at this.
But Marshall, I wanted to ask you, like, what sparked this whole thought process for you and your family to adopt? Like, what was it that actually sparked it for you? Or like, yeah, I heard you kind of said that you guys have always thought about adopting even before getting married. So what was it like that just like, yeah, we need to do this?
Yeah, so two things specifically. One, we are a Christian family, so it's really prevalent throughout the Bible as we read it that it's God's heart to take care of the least of these, the orphans, the widows, and all that. So there was the leading in that direction first and foremost, and then second, like I said, just observing the world around us, man. We were shocked as we started having conversations with people, just how deep the foster care system, the adoption system, just affects people. I mean, once we put the word out that was something that we were interested in pursuing, people just came out of the woodwork to let us know, hey, I was adopted, or hey, I was a foster care kid, or we had foster kids, and it amazed us how deep the need really is. As far as the particular timing in our lives right now, I actually came out of the industrial construction world. So when we had our two biological sons, I was working 80-hour weeks, and I was never home, and I missed out on a whole lot of stuff with them in their newborn stage of life. And my wife and I, adoption was on our heart, but we didn't want to bring another kid into that environment. So we were kind of waiting to see, where life was going to take us and how God was going to lead. And fortunately, the career path changed, and we're in a season of life right now where things are significantly slower and easier. Finances kind of lined up the right way. I've got a lot more time available, and it just became abundantly clear that, God led us into a season to really move forward with adopting, and we can give the time and attention that's really needed to make this thing happen, and and hopefully be a success story.
Wow, man, that's awesome. We have some connections with some families that are they do the fostering care, and our church actually sponsors one family down the road. They've got they live on a farm, and so they've opened it up, and so they have 5 or 6 foster kids, and they've actually adopted 3 of them, I believe.
That's awesome.
And then a family that I actually work for, some that owns a coffee shop, and they go to the church. They have been fostering, and then eventually moved into adopting the kids that they've been working with, and seeing where, because when you're close, you kind of know the stories behind the scenes, like what you were talking about, like how many people have been affected by the foster care system and then adoption and things like that. You see just this hopelessness that's there sometimes, and people with a heart that can just kind of jump in and help out and connect and help raise kids. That's beyond amazing.
Yeah, one thing that we learned just so far along the way too is something that we didn't go into this being mindful of is we're not just welcoming a child into our lives. We're hopefully welcoming a birth mom and potentially the dad as well. So we're really looking forward to the opportunity to bless the adults in the situation too, and just be invested in their lives and hopefully lead them down a better path as well.
Okay, so if you adopt, you said you still want the biological parents in their life?
Yeah, so depending on how you get matched or who you get matched with, the family who is adopting their child out, they make the decision on how much involvement that they want to have in the kid's life going forward. And so we're really hoping. So far, it seems like any of the opportunities that we've been presented with, the birth mom does have at least some interest in remaining connected. So yeah, we're looking forward to that opportunity to foster that connection and nourish that. So we're not just completely removing the kid from the biological aspect of their relationship, but actually we're hoping to encourage that, to keep that biological connection, and so they don't lose that part of their identity.
Marshall, I what's cool is I know from just connecting with you guys on Facebook and in different ways, your guys' heart for kids to the point that you have a parent punk band at one point, which is so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, talk about that a little bit. That's how I know you, right? We played a show with you with Grave Robber. Is that your church, or was that just a church you guys kind of rented out?
That was like a local art center that we rented out for the evening. Yeah, and that was old school, man. That was before we even had the other half of the band. We grabbed some kid I went to church with and said, "Hey, can you play drums with us?"
What year was that? Was that like 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Oh, it was way longer than that. Yeah, it was
5 years ago.
Like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. I think I think Octobird was just first starting, so that sounds about right.
Yeah. So that band, we coined the term that we're a parent punk band, and we wanted to create music that was fun and relatable, but most importantly honest. Yeah. As parents know, being parents, being part of a family is kind of a messy ordeal. It's not this, always sunshine and rainbows kind of a thing. And we wanted to talk about that in a fun way, in a relatable way that would, make people laugh, make people feel like they weren't alone in their frustrations, but just kind of laugh at themselves at the stuff that our kids put us through. And yeah, it was a really good time.
And since we talk coffee and hardcore, you don't drink coffee, so I can't ask you that question, but what is your favorite go-to hardcore album?
Oh man,
it can be hardcore punk, it can be hardcore, it can be Christian hardcore, it can be whatever you want.
Yeah, that's super tough. I'm much more of a metal guy than a hardcore guy, but I do love hardcore too.
No, this is a hardcore podcast.
I know. So when I was in high school, I loved Seventh Star. It's some of those older Face Down Records bands. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would probably I'm drawing a blank on the album name, but the first Seventh Star full length would probably be my go-to answer for that question.
Well, I was because
you know what he's talking about.
I know what he's talking about. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it's hard for me to remember the name because I have a hilarious Seventh Star tour story. If you want to hear it.
Yeah, of course.
Back in the day, before I was married and before before I started full-time pastoring, I was actually living in a warehouse type building in Parkersburg, here where I live. And it was my uncle owned the building, but he let me have the top floor of the warehouse so I could kind of watch over the building because it's kind of in a bad part of town. But I would have bands over all the time. They'd always call me and be like, "Hey, we're driving through West Virginia. Can we stay with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, go ahead." And so I was good friends with the guys in A Love for Enemies, and they were on tour with Seventh Star. And so they decided to come to my house. And so we're sitting there watching the movie Mothman Prophecies, which the Mothman is from West Virginia, if you don't know. And so they instantly start asking me questions. Where's this bridge at? Can we cross the bridge? How far away is it from here? And I'm like, well, the bridge doesn't exist anymore, but here's where the town is. And there's another bridge that's there. And they're like, we have to play a show in Huntington, West Virginia. We're going to stop by the bridge. So they leave to go to the show, and they told me, we'll probably be back around 1 or 2 o'clock. Is that all right? I say, I don't care. Just go ahead. Just let me know when you get to the apartment or to the warehouse. And so they take off. And it's like 2:00 and they don't show up. It's 3:00 and they don't show up. It's 4:00 and don't show up. And now it's like 5:00 in the morning. I'm like, where are these guys? They show up about 5:30 and they all just worn out, tired from one thing, but they totally drove for like 3 hours to find this bridge, to drive across it. And they all swore that they saw Mothman. But they totally went on
All of them?
All of them, yeah. They went on this crazy adventure to find Mothman, crossing a bridge down in Ravenswood, Ripley, West Virginia.
Did you believe them?
Of course not. I think they saw the statue of Mothman downtown. That's in downtown Ravenswood. There's a statue of Mothman, and so I think that's what they saw. But yeah, they were going nuts. They were like, "We can't believe it. We crossed the bridge, and I saw red eyes." It was nuts.
Yeah. Well, Marshall, thanks for being on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate it. This was awesome.
With the very first guest of Coffee and Hardcore. Welcome to our ramble session. We're learning.
Happy to be the guinea pig. This is fun.
But Marshall, hey, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little bit, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good weekend.
You too, man.
You too, man.
Bye.
Tell Ashley we said hi.
I will. See you guys.
Okay. Bye.
Coffee Talk.
We recently went and bought and supported the Gobina coffee for Marshall and Ashley's fundraiser, or adoption fundraiser. And I made mine cold chill style. And I got the medium roast. I like it. It's kind of got like a woody oaky. I'm pretending like I know what I'm talking about. It's kind of got like a woody oaky feel to it, taste to it. No, it's good. I really like it cold, actually. I had it hot this morning and cold this afternoon, and I have to say, I think the flavors come out better when it's cold.
Nice. Well, I tried the dark. Well, no, I was gonna say I tried the dark chocolate mocha cold. Yeah. And to me, it tasted better cold than it did hot. Now the espresso.
We're in agreement.
Yes. But the espresso blend I really liked. And it's just straight up with a little bit of cream. It was pretty good. I liked it. And normally with espresso, if you drink a lot of it, you're kind of jittery a little afterwards. Sure. But this kind of didn't have that jittery vibe to it after I drank it. And yesterday I probably drank about 3 cups of it, and I was doing good. So there was no
3 cups, huh?
Yeah, no jitters. So maybe some folks that think espresso needs to get you jittery wouldn't like it, but for me, it was good. It tasted smooth and not really a whole lot of jitters afterwards.
So did your wife try it?
She did. She liked the espresso better, and she's the one that actually made the statement first about how normally when she drinks espresso, she gets a little jittery after the first cup, and she was okay. So that's kind of what made me go, you know what? I drank a few cups and I'm fine too. So yeah. She dug the espresso.
I bought the espresso for my lady, and she said she usually doesn't get into espresso because I guess usually, and I didn't know this, it's usually not a darker bean. Is that true?
That's true.
Okay. But she said this one was, like, when she poured it out, because she likes dark coffee.
Yeah.
And when she poured it out, she's like, oh, wow, yeah, this is really dark. This is going to be good. She dug it.
Yeah. I think it's the...
So go support.
Yeah. I think it's the lighter the bean, the more the caffeine. So, yeah.
For real?
Blend, yeah. The darker bean is going to have less caffeine. So...
I'm learning here.
Yeah, so definitely, we'll put the links up for the fundraiser and also for the Go Bean, to where you can purchase coffee and help the Browns out. There's some good stuff on it, and there is a ton of different types of coffee. There's a ton and tons of different items too, like coffee mugs and you got a coffee mug,
I bought a mug. I did, and unfortunately the coffee mugs do not go to support the Browns, but they do go to buying village water, clean water.
Oh, okay. Well, sweet.
Yeah. So it's still for a good cause. And
Wow,
they're handmade, legit handmade, and they're really nice mugs.
See, now I'm wishing I would have got one.
Well, you still can.
I know I can go back and get more. They do have if you're looking to try something different, a different type of coffee maker, they do have a Chemex coffee maker on there, an 8-cup one
I saw that.
that you can get. So that'd be the pour over type. So yeah,
Yeah,
all kinds of good stuff's
cool.
on here.
So that brings us actually to Zayo Talk. That is next on
Okay.
my list. And Zayo is releasing Preface. That's how you say it, right?
It's either that or Preface. I have no idea.
Preface,
It's
Preface.
either one. Either
Well,
one.
either one. And well, here on Coffee and Hardcore, we got a copy of the vinyl
Oh,
and the tape, and we are giving that away.
nice. Yes, sir. I actually hope that I get a copy of all of it. I'm not.
Right.
I hope I
Right.
do. No,
Well,
I
that's
think,
yeah. You will. Why would you played on it? You're
I
on this
know.
record. So
I'm just kidding.
talk to everybody about this record and why it's so important and why 2 Minute Minor kind of has a little bit to do with it.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it totally does.
Okay, cool.
Here's how this whole album came about was about it's been a couple years ago. Steadfast decided they wanted to re-release All Else Failed Again on vinyl. And so when those stocks started going into the works, I started remembering that there was somewhere out there in the universe, there were 2 DAT tapes that had unreleased stuff on it that was never put out. So I just took a shot talking to Matt Traxler one day, and I said, "Hey, Matt, do you have those DATs?" And he said, "Yeah, man, you want them?" It was that easy. And I went, yes.
Of course.
So he sent me the DATs, and I started looking at all the songs, and there's like 7 or 8 songs that have never seen the light of day. They're all songs that the first singer, Eric Reeder, was a part of. And there's some really good, like old school 90s hardcore stuff on it. And it's like stuff that's never been heard. And I was like, oh, this stuff has to get out. So then the search for how to transfer these, because who has a DAT machine anymore, right?
Right.
And that's how 2 Minute Minor plays into all this.
Who even knows what a DAT machine is?
Exactly. The legend of this gets even greater because of where this was done.
Yes.
I'm going to butcher his last name, so you're going to have to help me.
Okay.
But Zach.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
His name sounds like it would be a bottled water.
Birdie.
Let's see if yeah, Bertier. Woohoo!
Nice. Okay. So him and I talk quite a bit sometimes on Facebook. We talk about bands and other things. And I think either because of you or somebody else, he just said, "Hey, I heard you had some DAT tapes. You want to get them transferred. I just so happened to work at Medieval Times."
Yeah, Medieval Times. Yeah,
And
because you reached out to me and told me about this, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And his boss at Medieval Times, because he works in the production department,
Mhm.
he sent me a picture of it. It was sitting all the way on the bottom, kind of covered up. They had 2 DAT machines, and they totally took them and transferred them digitally to the files that we needed. And so I got them back, and they sounded good, very raw. And I sent
they needed some help.
Oh yeah. And I sent them
Yeah.
to some guys, and I was to everybody else in the band, and I was like, "Hey, check these out. We haven't heard these forever." And included on those DATs was 2 songs by a band that Jesse, Roy, myself, and before Sean was in Zayo, we were on a band called Monroe that was like a post-hardcore emo kind of sound.
Yeah.
And so there was 2 songs from there too. And so we were kind of all jazzed about it.
Those are on the CD version if you buy it.
Yes.
Yeah, but not on the vinyl
Not
or
on the
cassette.
vinyl, no. So we were kind of like shooting it around, and then we were trying to figure out, like, should we put these out? Should we not put these out? And then I just emailed Matt Traxler back and said, "Hey, I've got like a bunch those DATs transferred. There's a ton of unreleased stuff. What do you want to do with it?" And he said, "Let's put it out." And then we started working on the vinyls and all that. And then the great thing about Zayo is old, middle, and new is like we're all still a family. and we kind of talk about stuff all the time. And the new guys were all like, "Yeah, we want to help you guys promo
The new
this,
guys
get
who
up
have been in
Galvin."
it for like 25 years.
Yeah, but they've been in it longer than the original guys. So
sure.
we just kind of all worked together, and really Matt and the new guys did a lot of the legwork. But man, it looks really good. And then Matt decided he was going to re-release All Else Failed on a double LP, and it's like blood red, which is killer. I'm hoping I get one of those.
Yeah, I wished we could have got the ice version.
Oh yeah, that was nice too.
Of Preface or whatever we're calling it, but
right.
Unfortunately, by the time I even got a hold of it, that one was sold out.
Well, and the crazy thing is that on Bandcamp, it was like number 3 and number 5 on the top selling albums for pre-sales for the day. It was insane.
Wow, really?
Like, yeah. I was like, you got to be kidding me right now. So
that's awesome.
But honestly, 2020 and 2021 is the years of Zao, because there's the Preface album, the All Else Failed album. I don't know if this is public knowledge yet, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there.
You're hearing it now on Coffee and Hardcore.
They're re-releasing Splinter Shards on vinyl. They're re-releasing Blood and Fire on vinyl.
That's the record.
Yes. And then they're also new Zao's coming out with new stuff. I just saw a tag that showed how long the album was going to be and everything. So that's coming out soon. So there is like so much Zao getting ready to happen, and it's so cool. What a better way to end this horrible year than
with more Zao.
Yes, with a whole bunch of Zao crap coming out.
So when we talked the first time, you told a story about Jesse, and I think that would be a great, you working at the Christian bookstore and him coming in.
All right.
I think that would be a cool thing for the listeners to hear.
When I'm trying to, it's the Save Yourself from Hell album, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is my absolute favorite Zao album still. Just because it's so dark. I love how dark it is.
Super dark.
Yeah.
I was working at a Christian bookstore here in Parkersburg, where we're all from, and that album was getting ready to come out, and I had seen what it looked like, and of course, Jesse, good friend, hanging out, and all that stuff, and he was kind of into a glam kind of phase at that moment, and which where we are from is very hillbilly kind of. It's West Virginia, so
is it still like that?
To an extent, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But definitely he's going to stand out like a sore thumb. So
yeah,
that album's getting ready to come out, and I had
let's tell people, let's paint this picture here. So Jesse, he was super like rail skinny at the time.
Yes.
Had tattoos everywhere. He
Yes.
had black fingernail polish on his nails.
Yes.
He either had black or blonde spiky hair.
It was black hair with spikes. What yellow spikes?
Black.
Pretty sure. Yep.
Black hair spikes. Okay. And then he wore eyeshadow.
He had a fur coat on at the time when he came to the bookstore. Yes.
And he dressed primarily in all black.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we painted that picture. Go ahead.
Painted that picture. So the album just dropped. There was already an issue because they had to reprint the album for Christian bookstores because there was something in it.
Because of how he looked, I thought.
Is that? Oh, okay. It could have been.
Yeah, because he had fingernail polish on, and that wasn't very Christian of a man to have fingernail polish on in the 90s.
Oh, yes. But he's going to come in. I know he's coming because we had talked earlier. He's going to come in. He just, because the album's in and it's in a store. That's kind of a cool thing to check out. So he's coming to hang out, talk, and he shows up and in the bookstore dressed full glam, coming to check out the album. Of course, I've got it and showing it to him, and everybody is just straight wigging out. So my manager's wigging out.
Did you say they had to put a sticker over him?
Oh, yeah.
On the back?
On the back. There was definitely a sticker over the back, yes.
Over him, right?
Yes, over him. Yeah,
so because of how he looked.
Yeah, so he comes to the thing, and there's a sticker on him. I think that's where they put the because they used to put stickers like buy 4 get 1 free.
Yep. Yeah.
They stick that over top of him, and then I think the price sticker was over top of him, and it was just horrible.
The Christian bookstore was my place when I was a kid. I would go with my grandpa once a month, and I could go pick out one album. So that brings back memories. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, but it was just so funny to be there and, talking to a friend who was in a band, which was a band that I was in, and everybody just straight wigging out.
Yeah. Well, how many records did they put out at that point? Was that 2 since
Well,
you've been out of it? Is that their second?
That was, because Blood and Fire and then Save Yourself from Hell. Those were the 2 after Splinter. Yep. Yeah.
Man,
so the second one. Yep.
Those are 2 hard-hitting great albums.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you guys had the 2 great albums, and then they had those 2 great albums.
Yeah. I don't think I think they do get credit out there in the other places, but I think the talk.
What do you mean by that?
I don't think they get enough credit for the shift that they made in that style of music. Like,
gotcha.
They were no longer hardcore; they were more
metalcore.
Yeah, and who else was doing that when they did it? Like, what other album was like "Save Yourself from Hell" when that came out? Like, seriously?
No, nothing like "Save Yourself from Hell." That thing was so good. It was so dark and so gloomy, and but still hopeful in a sense. If you know it, I guess you only know that if you know that album. But it's like the darkest, gloomiest, most hopeful album.
Right. Well, it's all Dan, because Dan writes those crazy, weird lyrics that, in one shape, it messes with you, and then the next moment you hear something that's like a glimmer of hope. It's like so weird. I know.
Yeah, that album still. I actually went back and listened to that album after we had this first talk. The stuff we had to scrap. That album still holds up for me personally. It's powerful. It's a great album.
That's the album that when I was driving down the road the other day with my youngest son, and we were listening to Jesse talk about this new album that he has coming out. It's so horrible. He's going to kill me. Serpent, Slave. That's it. Okay. It's killer. Cool, it's killer stuff.
Weren't you saying it's kind of like, is it kind of like rock and roll-y more?
No, it's like actually more industrial, kind of dark.
Oh, okay.
Stuff.
Maybe I don't know. Was it was his other band kind of rock and rolly?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, because I think I listened to a Bad Christian podcast where they had him on it and they were playing the songs. And it was more. He sings and plays guitar in that other band, right? Yeah.
But we're listening to that podcast, and then so I started playing old Zayo. Or I started playing the newer Zayo, and I played a song off of "Save Yourself from Hell," and my youngest was going nuts, like banging his
the best
head,
story.
And just yelling. He's like, "Daddy, this is like I love it, Daddy." And then I switched it to the old school stuff, like the stuff that his pops is on, and he goes, "Daddy, turn it back. I don't want to listen to this." And he totally sold me out. He sold me out for new Zayo.
Oh man. That's so good. And you call it new Zayo, which is hilarious because that came out in like what, 98?
Yeah, 98. It's like, I guess that would be middle Zayo. Would that be what?
Yeah, like over 20 years ago. Yes. That's awesome. Isn't that crazy? 20 years ago, like 22 years ago or whatever that was, like that doesn't even seem like it.
I think it's longer than that.
Oh, really?
Where's the calculator at? I'm going to figure out how long ago.
Yeah, I don't math.
No, I'm pretty sure it's longer.
I don't even know what year it come out, 96 or 98. I think we looked it up. 99 it came out.
No, so which one? Save Yourself from Hell or the
Save Yourself from Hell?
Oh, that would have been over 20 years ago. Right around 20.
It was like 21 years ago. Yeah.
But the Preface stuff, this is what's going to be crazy.
Oh, yeah, that's like 93, right?
Oh yeah, that's 26 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when I stole my first basketball shoes. Did I tell you that story?
Right. Yeah, you were still in basketball shoes and I was putting out demos. How about that?
You're doing productive things with your life. I was learning life lessons.
I was just a little older.
Yeah, I was over here learning my life lessons. So 2 Minute Minor does have some stuff coming out, and this is kind of the perfect time here to have this podcast coming out in August, because we are actually dropping and releasing a 1-inch lathe cut record.
I don't even know how that works.
Okay, what do you mean?
I just don't like how do you make a 1-inch lathe cut vinyl record?
Well, I got to give all props to Zach. Zach, the drummer who we talked about earlier. He oh gosh, I don't know, like Soda Tax, whenever that came out, I don't know, I'm gonna say 3 years ago.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I want to do these small vinyls. And I was like, no one's going to buy a freaking small vinyl, dude. So we put out this record, no one's going to buy it. We're just going to be sitting on these records. And this dude in Australia does it, and they're not cheap. And so he kind of went behind my back and ordered them anyways and paid for them out of his own pocket, because they told him, 2 Minute Minor, we're not going to make our money back. This is going to be a waste of money. And it was a decent chunk of change, and he paid for it out of his own pocket. And so we get them, and I'm like, I'll put these things up, but I don't, we got limited. We got 50 of them. I'm like, we'll put these things up, but I don't think they're going to sell. They sold out in 3 days.
I bought one.
Like 2.5 days.
Yes, I bought one. And it won't work on my record player.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it's because it's so small.
Right.
I have 2 record players. I have one of those cheap ones that I should just probably throw in the garbage, those Crosleys.
Yes.
That is not even worth owning. And it won't play on that. But this other one I got for Christmas 2 years ago from my aunt and uncle. It's a really good record player, and it will play my 2-inch record. Because it has to be a record player that'll go all the way into the middle. Some of them will go and stop for, I don't know if you want to say safety reasons, but so it just doesn't keep. So if you fall asleep, it doesn't keep going like grinding your record, for the safety of your records. But it won't play, and we put that on our site too. We say these lathe cuts won't play on every record player because it has to be a record player that will play deep into the center. And especially on this 1-inch, I don't know. Like we're getting a video of this guy cutting it and playing it, so we know it plays, the guy who's making it. But we looked online. We're going to be one of the first bands to actually have music on a 1-inch. I think we looked, and the BBC has Bird Sounds, a collection of 1-inch records.
Right.
But when we put that 2-inch out, it actually went up on some Wikipedia about vinyl. And then we were actually on a vinyl podcast. They talked about our record. So that was pretty neat. Yeah. I guess there was only like a handful of bands that have done a 2-inch. So Zach, without knowing it, or without me knowing it, kind of put us on the map a little bit, and all credit due to him. And so what we're doing is we're getting 50 of these 1-inch records from this guy from Australia. These things take like 4, sometimes 5 months to get.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So we've had this thing, and I think this one took us 4.5. And we've had this in the works for a while. But basically, this one's different because this one's double-sided.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have 2 10-second songs. One on one side, one on the other. And the album's called We Hate 2 Minute Minor. And it's kind of about the backlash that we got a few years ago. We got trolled, and so we just thought it'd be fun to play along with it. Like, these people made this picture of this kid wearing a 2 Minute Minor shirt and people laughing at the kid wearing the shirt. So we stuck it in there because we just thought like that whole thing was hilarious. And so we kind of wanted to just play on it. Like, we're actually getting trolls. That means we're doing something.
Nice.
Or they hate us. Either way.
Either way.
That's awesome. Like, our name's out there enough to where people actually hate us now. That's great. So we thought we should celebrate that. And so in the spirit of that, the kids making fun of, because if you should buy your kids a 2 Minute Minor shirt because they will get made fun of.
Nice.
But basically we're raising money for suicide prevention because we do know that bullying is serious and it does happen in schools and online or whatever. And Tim Mann from Focus does guest vocals on Hope for the Day. And we're actually donating everything we make, not just the proceeds, but every single dollar. So we're eating the cost on these vinyl, and we're basically, that's our donation to them. So whatever we sell, even the cost of the vinyl, every cent we're giving to Hope of the Day in Chicago.
Wow.
And Tim Mann was kind enough to be on it, and he explained to me his struggles with all of that. And so this was something that was really important to him to be on this record.
Nice.
And I would like to get him on the show because he has a lot of things to say.
He does. And you know what? The cool thing about Tim is, and a lot of people don't know this, is he is the man who coined the phrase spirit-filled hardcore.
That's right.
He's the guy. And
so we're doing a limit of 50. And so basically when they sell, they sell. And
Right.
we're doing dad hats, 2-minute minor dad hats. We made 6 of them just to see how they'd sell, and they went in that one day in like 3 hours, I think it was.
Yeah, my wife got one. She was like,
she did. Yeah. That's awesome. And so, we wanted to just see how they would sell. So yeah, we're going to do 2 colors. We're going to do the black with the green and the black with the white again.
Awesome.
All that goes to suicide prevention, also to Hope for the Day. And I think we're dropping that Friday, August 14th. We will have the 1 inches available for automatic sale, and the hats will be a pre-order. And if you order a hat and a vinyl, you'll get like, I think $2 off or something like that. But you have to wait for the hat because we'll ship them both together.
You've got the 2-minute minor stuff coming out, but you also got What's Your Damage stuff coming out too soon, right?
You know what? Thank you. I didn't even put that in my notes. Yeah, we're doing a split with the Pretty Bads.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We found out about them through audio feed, and I would watch them play, and through Indie Vision Music, the label, the label that they're on, and we really liked them, and we thought the style goes together really well. And I've been in a lot of talks with Jordan, the drummer and husband in the band, because it's a married couple,
right?
And they do have a bass player now, he said. But on the first record, I think he played drums and bass, and she played guitar and sang. But yeah, we're doing that split, and he's getting our stuff's all done. We have it mixed. They're ready to go. It's 5 songs from us, 5 songs from them. They were waiting on a saxophone part. They got it recorded last Friday, and they're in the middle of mixing. And then once they give us the mixes, we will get it mastered together as a full, and then we will be releasing that. Yay! I do want to talk a little bit about the Coffee and Hardcore theme, because I feel like I'm a little scatterbrained and I cut that a little short. So I reached out to Jim, and because I wanted to read the words to this theme. And they actually did 2 themes. I think I only sent you 1. They made 2.
Yeah, you only sent me 1. Yeah.
They made 2 30-second themes. And the one that I sent you is the one I really, really liked.
Okay. I trust you because I love it. So
I will send you the other one. But this one is the best. And the words are, the words that he sent me, because I know it says coffee and hardcore, full steam ahead. But like the meat of it, the words are, we got some Java, we got some tunes, we got some jokes, and we got reviews. We got the cure for a few hours of boredom. If you like the bands, go and support them. Coffee and hardcore. So I was thinking, you know what? Maybe we should put both of them in there at the end. At the end of this podcast, and we should see which one people like better and see if we made the right choice. Because if you like the other one better, people, it doesn't matter. We're sticking with this one. But we want to hear if we messed up or if we did good. So I'll send you both, and we'll put both of them at the end there.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can do that. No problem.
Yeah.
And then we have a little we have a little special something else at the end too, that I'm fanboying over a whole lot.
We do.
And we're not, but we'll just make that a surprise.
That's gonna be a surprise.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you don't want it to be a surprise.
I don't know. Okay, if you like surprises.
I do.
We'll just say that how I got this surprise to happen was I reached out to this person and I said, if you do this for us, my co-host Mick will fangirl. And this person goes, yeah, let's do it. And I sent it to him, and I get a text back that says, what?
The funny thing is that you sent that to me, and I messaged Eric Reeder because Eric, the original singer for Zayo, he doesn't live that far from me, but
Don't give the secret away.
I'm not. But
Okay.
he and I both are really dig the
This
band
person?
this person, the band that he was in and all that, had a huge part in our teenage lives. But I told him, I said, I felt like Steve Martin from The Jerk when he finally gets his name in the phone book. And he's like, I've made it. I've made it.
And then the guy starts shooting at him.
Yes. That's how I felt. I was like, I have done it. I could be done with my life. It's all over. I have
This
made
person
it.
said their name, the name of the band they're in, and my name in the same sentence. That's
I have
awesome.
made it.
I've made it.
Yeah, so that's pretty sweet. I'm excited about that.
That's cool. That's cool when you like a band, when you grow up listening to a band, you wear their t-shirt, you buy their vinyl, you support them, you listen to them, you know all their songs, you went to their shows, and you find out that they're actually cool people also.
Right.
Like, that is huge because, oh man, I won't say who this person was, but I looked up to this person and I actually met them for like, I don't know, maybe like 40, 50 seconds. And I was like, it just sucks though too, because someone can ruin their perception of you in that short a time. Like, and I don't know if that's fair either, because maybe they were having a bad day. Maybe they were off. Maybe things happen, but it's just crazy that we can hold on to those moments for so long in our life, good or bad. Right. And just like make judgments of our whole life can go by, 20 years and we're like, oh, that person sucks. Because for 50 seconds they were shitty to me. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know if that's fair either.
Yeah, we can still talk trash about people if that's how they acted. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But I mean, maybe I'm not saying I'm anything to write home about, but maybe just at a show or in my friendship, maybe I did something like that too. Like someone's like, hey, this is my friend, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? And they're like, oh, that person sucks. Like, who knows?
I'm sure somewhere out there, somebody has a bad story about me because I was so awkward and shy when we would go play shows that I'm sure somebody was like, why is that guy a jerk? When really I was like,
yeah,
I don't really know what to say right now because I'm awkward and shy.
Yeah. I might actually poop in my pants if I talk to you.
If I talk to you, that's why I always play with my back to the crowd.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I'm sure there's somebody out there that has something to say something like that about me.
Yeah, but this person and these people, I guess I don't know all of them, but this person is lives up to his name. He's a good guy.
Oh yeah.
And one of the greatest hardcore / crossover bands ever.
Oh yeah.
Thrash, maybe crossover thrash, I would call it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Started as a punk band. We're giving hints. Now
we are giving hints. People
have to tune into the end though to listen to this.
And I will say this about him too. The man has somehow figured out the formula to the fountain of youth. Because I saw him in 1993 play a show, and then I saw him all these years later at the show in Michigan that we were all at, and I was like, there's a little bit of wrinkles around his eyes, but he looks exactly the same. And I was like, how? Right. So, yeah.
Well, that person, if that person listens, is going to really enjoy that.
Nice.
That you said that. Another awkward moment brought to you by Wiley Willis. So one thing I did want to dive into, I've been bouncing back and forth in my head. I remember when we first recorded this podcast and we had to trash it because my microphone sucked. I was really like, I want to get into this whole marble in my mouth politics mumbo jumbo. And then right when we hit the record play button on this podcast, I was like, no, we're going to make this a safe place where we don't talk about politics. Well, you know what? I'm going to talk about it.
Oh, great. No, I'm just kidding.
So this is my take on Wiley's Coffee and Hardcore Unity Talk. That's what I'm calling this segment.
Okay, good.
Dun, 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 dun. So basically, online, of course, it all starts with online, and even in person. I have been having people tell me that I need to stand up for what's right and what I believe in. This is a true story now. When all this stuff hit, and everyone knows what all this stuff is, I actually had people reach out to me and they say, "Hey, we need you to print this." I don't know. People really did this. We need you to print those anti-racist Goon Crew badges again. And I said, no, I'm not. We're not going to do that, but we'll do something else. So I ended up printing those hardcore Unity ones, and we gave all the money to charity, and we did a pre-order for that. And I just had people saying, hey, friends and people who listen to our music say, hey, I think you need to say something. You need to have a voice. And the first thing I said to them was, I feel like this isn't my time. I feel like it's okay for me to sit back and let other people have a voice right now, because I'm just this dude in like in a local Chicago hardcore band. Like, yeah, we put out like the anti-racist thing because of the kind of music and the scene that we're in, and because we stand for unity. I grew up in a house that was a unity house. I grew up with a grandpa who was in the military and fought in war and was very patriotic and taught me how to raise an American flag and how to fold an American flag. And if it hits the ground, you burn it, and put up a new one because it's disrespectful. And just really strong voice of unity, and how God created all of us, and he created all of us in his image. And because he was so different, he had to make us all so different, because that was just his creativity. God is and was an artist when he created us. And my grandpa didn't like to talk about war a lot, but there was a few times when it kind of came out. And I know he was deaf, and I think it was in one of his ears. I think it was his right ear, because a tank went off right by his ear.
Whoa.
And he told me that story a couple times. And I just remember, well, I don't want to throw anybody on the bus here, but I remember he grew up in a household that, I want to choose my words carefully, that he grew up in a household that, well, let's just say it wasn't a household of unity. We'll say that.
Okay.
And so when he went to war, he realized that all that stuff, it was just, it just was mumbo jumbo. It didn't matter. None of it mattered. And that these people all these people, him, the people in war, his brothers and sisters, no matter what color they were fighting for one thing, and maybe the war of the government wasn't the right thing to do. Maybe it was. That's a whole other political issue. But in that moment, standing as people and as one in unity was what they were doing, what they had to do to survive. You hear what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Like, they had to survive as people, as a unit, and it didn't matter what color you were. That was the last thing that was on your mind, what color you were. And I think that really opened up his eyes, and was one of the reasons why he raised me in a unity household, and why he was so militant about it, in the sense where he reminded me almost every day that we're all beautiful, no matter the color we are. Because we grew up in the UP in Iron Mountain, and so there's not a lot of diversity in Iron Mountain. But he made sure to let me know, and to make sure my eyes were open for when I actually went out into the real world,
right,
and had to meet different people than I am, and realize that we're all people, and we all have the same needs. We all want to be loved. We all struggle. We all have issues, but we're really just people. And so it really drives me crazy when I see this division, when I see the far right and the far left going at each other. And when I try to be a moderate in the sense where I try to put myself in the middle and look at things before I make decisions, and I get yelled at. I've gotten yelled at from my friends. Some friendships have been ruined online and in person because of where I stand, because of my unity line, and because I won't be bullied into what's the word I'm looking for?
Bullied into a position, or
well, not necessarily position, because I'm not gonna be true to a party and follow everything they say, because I don't think that's what you should do. I think you should have your values and your views, and if they differ from the parties, I see a lot of people just standing with that party hand in hand because that's their thing and they're blinded to everything else. What I was looking for is I won't be a radical.
Okay. Yeah.
I consider myself a moderate, and that doesn't mean I don't have issues on this. This doesn't mean I don't stand up for people. It doesn't mean I don't stand up for what I believe. And that's one thing that really hurt me as a guy that I know and that I work with. He had the audacity to say this online too, which he wouldn't even say it to my face. He said there's some people who care more about the unity message who are just using it to sell records than will actually bunker down and make a difference. And I was like, what? Like, is this real? Okay, just because I'm not a crazy far left radical like you are doesn't mean that I don't have a message. My message is unity. Just because it's not the same message as yours, just because you're spreading division, which he is, doesn't mean that I don't have a message and I don't believe in something.
Right.
And for him to say, who does he think I am? REM? Like, I don't, like, what is he saying? Like, I'm choosing a message, unity, to sell records. Wrong. I've been listening to unity music my whole life. I've been listening to the specials. I've been listening to unity punk rock, Operation IV. Like, that's the kind of stuff I love and I listen to. And it just doesn't make sense to me why he's trying to bully me into his position. And I've noticed that from both far sides, from both extremists. And it's just getting out of control. It's like their common enemy is the moderate, and there's no room for a moderate anymore because you're either oppressed or the oppressor. There's no in between. And I call bullshit on that because I think there's a lot of in between. I just think when you're that radical, you only see out of one lens.
Right. Well, and there's a whole lot of, and we talked about this before, there's a whole lot of this. If you don't agree with what I have to say or the line that I'm bringing, then we're going to cancel you. The whole cancel culture thing.
Yeah.
And what I find interesting, and this is what I've had to learn to do in these last few months, and that is being a white dude from West Virginia, growing up in the church, pastor's kid, now pastoring myself. What I've had to learn to do is, as much as I want to jump in and say things and post things online and be supportive of my Black brothers and sisters who are going through a bunch of crap and are now actually getting their voice out there and people are saying things, what I've had to do is shut up and listen.
Exactly.
Because I haven't been paying attention, and where I thought like everything was cool. And then stuff like this happens in the last 3 months. And I finally realized that, my kids, when they grow up and they're going to play football, baseball, or whatever, and they come back from practice or whatever, I don't have to worry about them getting pulled over and possibly killed like my neighbor down the street, who is a Black family, who has 2 sons, who played for the the local football team who have just tried to come home and hang out and have been pulled over for no reason whatsoever. And so I need to listen to those stories, and I need to be supportive of them. And supportive of the folks that I am in contact with and I connect with, and I can hear their stories personally. That's kind of where I'm at on this. Like, I'm like you. I'm so tired of the far left and the far right canceling everybody out. They're trying to smear everybody's voice, when really the heart of the matter is, can we not just look and see that there's people that are actually hurting and and are broken and need help? And honestly, can we take a moment and look and go, this has not just been happening in the last 10, 15 years. This has been happening for a long time.
Oh yeah. We're just repeating history like a merry-go-round.
Exactly. But it just seems like now more than ever, and it's probably because of social media and all that.
Probably.
But there's just this overreach of folks just not allowing voices to be shared and having space to talk it out and to actually think. Now, do I think that that people should just be able to blab and say whatever they want? I think that there's common sense in there, where if you're actually saying things that are actually hurting people, that can physically hurt people because of what you're saying, then that stuff needs to be stopped. That's not freedom of speech. That's taking advantage of freedom, right?
Going to your cancel culture thing, I'll make this short because I'm interested in what you have to say, I just wanted to put this disclaimer in there, is I think it's great that people are being held accountable for their actions when they're doing terrible things. When there's rape in the industry, and when there's people, being pedophiles, and there's people doing sex rings, and there's people doing this and doing that, laundering money, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you should be held accountable for your actions. But the cancel culture we're talking about, because sometimes that gets confused with the young people, because we're not the young people.
Exactly.
But I do believe the cancel culture in that sense, calling out
yes,
all the bullshit and all the bad things is very important, especially in Hollywood, where white men, or even men in general, would get away with murder.
Exactly. Yes.
Basically almost murder. And I think it's great that people are standing up and saying, hey, this has happened, and they're actually being held accountable for their actions. The cancel culture we're talking about that's bad is I'm going to take you down. I'm going to ruin your small business. I'm going to ruin you. I'm going to ruin your band. I'm going to get you fired from your job because I don't agree with you. And I'm going to call you a Nazi or a racist. And I'm not even going to do my homework and know if it's true. That's the cancel culture we're talking about.
Yeah, like definitely. If there's folks, someone, companies, whatever, that are doing things that are hurting other people, where there's racism involved, sexism involved, where there's kids getting hurt, where companies are just destroying communities and stuff like that. That's where real quote unquote cancel culture needs to happen. But what we're seeing take place is, if between individuals, if there is an issue, if there's a disagreement, or if you do something different than the way they think you should do it, it's automatically you're canceled, and we're going to raise up a whole army of social media warriors to stop you, to end you. And we're seeing a lot of folks get hurt. So to us, or to, that's not cancel culture. That's just being a jerk. If we're going to cancel something, then we need to go after those things that are actually legit hurting people, systems and groups and individuals. They need to be put on blast. And those are the folks. You know what? No, you don't deserve our business. You don't deserve our time. But disagreements and not doing things the way others want you to do it. When we get into that stuff, that's just ridiculous. Because here's a good example of this, and it goes all the way back to the 80s, okay? I remember being an 80s kid. I grew up in church, so this is going to kind of be a little cheesy, all right?
Okay.
But I grew up in church, and Amy Grant was huge back then, right?
Yes.
Do you remember when she came out with the song Baby Baby? The super sugary pop song Baby Baby?
Sing it.
You're gonna make me sing it. The one that goes, baby, baby, dun 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 dun. Dun, dun. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that song came out, right?
Yeah.
The church threw a fit and they canceled her. because
Oh,
she
yeah.
was singing, she was singing a secular song about a dude. And so they
she's
threw a fit.
she's Christian.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
She wrote
gotcha.
like a ton of Christian songs.
I just
All right?
know my mom or somebody had a Christmas album. So
Yeah. So the church did what we're talking about, the bad side of this. Like, that girl didn't do anything wrong. She wrote a song about her, I don't know if she was married at the time or not, but she wrote a song about a boy. Who gives a rip? But the church threw a fit because it wasn't a Christian song.
right.
So that's the kind of crap that we're talking about. And I don't know if you remember the band Lust Control. This will bring us back into punk and hardcore.
Yeah.
Band Lust Control actually wrote a song called "Leave Amy Grant Alone." So, that's kind of what we're talking about. It's just this cheese. It really is this cheeseball idea that just because you don't want to have a conversation, I'm just going to cut you completely out and you're done. I'm not.
Yeah.
You're not even going to listen.
And we talked about this on the first podcast that we had to redo. Is growing up in the 80s and 90s, the whole youth group church was all about fear tactics.
Yes.
And scaring you, like, you better have a CD burning party, or a CD, like, you actually burn your CDs and tapes and your records into a fire, because that's the devil's music, and the devil's going to come out of that music, and
you're going to do good records.
Yeah. I mean, even when we talked about on the podcast that Rage Against the Machine record, the Evil Empire, I think I had that thing like 10 times.
Wow.
Because I burned it a couple times, and then, I repented, whatever they wanted you to do back in the 90s. And then, or my grandparents would find it and get rid of it. And like I said, I finally just wrote like Christian top 10 mix on the burned CD, stuck it in my drawer, and it never got messed with again. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, the funny thing is that my parents were never like that, but every single youth group that I was a part of, because my dad pastored churches, every single youth group had something like that going on. And I would come home from like a camp or something, and I'd tell him that happened. He would be like, well, why did you feel like you had to do that? Because growing up, like, we listened to Elvis Presley, the Beatles, Dylan, all this stuff growing up, always had the radio on, all this stuff. Dad was really into Motown, and that's like what we listened to. And now I'm, later on in youth group, I'm being told that this stuff is evil and we got to burn it and all this stuff. And he'd be like, why are you doing that? Like, can we think about this first?
Your dad was smart. We had to pay money for those records, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And they're not bad.
Right. Oh.
But basically, I'm fed up with not being able to, even it's gotten so bad. It used to only be on the internet, and now it has gone to in-person talks. And when it started to the in-person talks, I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually entering and seeping into the real world. Uh-oh.
That's a whole other
right
to get into.
It is. And yeah, we should cut this short because we don't want this to be hardcore politics and coffee, but it's just been on my heart a little bit because it goes hand in hand with the music and our message is why I'm kind of bringing it up, because for someone to say that I'm only preaching a message of unity in this time because I want to sell records is very hurtful.
Yeah.
In the sense that they're basically telling me that I don't care. I don't care that Black people have struggles and that they're struggling. Of course I care. Of course I don't want my fellow human being to deal with these struggles. And of course I'm being more aware of a lot of these issues now, and I'm happy that I'm being told and my eyes are being opened. Telling me that you hate me or that my eyes are closed, like, I don't know. I don't think that's spreading unity. I think that's spreading division.
Right.
And that doesn't make me neutral.
Right.
So I don't understand why that's being said, because if you like, even in this newest record that we're working on, like, it is a unity record, but it hits on these topics. And I do think they're important, but I think that we are blinding ourselves by the left and the right. And I think we're buying into what they want. I think we're buying into division. And I think we're not really going to get this country or people on track in general, anywhere in the world, until we actually unify as one person, as one people.
Right.
I truly believe that. And so extremism and being extreme, I think, is hurting this country. This is my platform. I was given to speak on coffee and hardcore, and I know it's turned into coffee. It's turned into coffee, hardcore, and politics for a minute. But I think this goes bigger than politics. I think this is about humanity,
Right.
and I think extremism is dividing this country and ruining this country. And we are going to play you this great clip that was sent to us. And it is comedians speaking out against cancel culture. And we're going to play you this clip from the BBC.
Seriously, though, we've heard a lot about extremism recently, a nastier, harsher atmosphere everywhere, more abuse and bother boy behavior, less friendliness and tolerance and respect for opponents. All right, but what we never hear about extremism is its advantages. Well, the biggest advantage of extremism is that it makes you feel good, because it provides you with enemies. Let me explain. The great thing about having enemies is that you can pretend that all the badness in the whole world is in your enemies, and all the goodness in the whole world is in you. Attractive, isn't it? So, if you have a lot of anger and resentment in you anyway, and you therefore enjoy abusing people, then you can pretend that you're only doing it because these enemies of yours are such very bad persons. And that if it wasn't for them, you'd actually be good-natured and courteous and rational all the time. So, if you want to feel good, become an extremist. Okay, now you have a choice. If you join the hard left, they'll give you their list of authorized enemies. Almost all kinds of authority, especially the police, the city, Americans, judges, multinational corporations, public schools, furriers, newspaper owners, fox hunters, generals, class traitors, and, of course, moderates. Or, if you'd rather be an extremist on the hard right, no problem, fine, you still get a lovely list of enemies, only they're different ones. Noisy minority groups, unions, Russia, weirdos, demonstrators, welfare sponges, meddlesome clergy, peaceniks, the BBC, strikers, social workers, communists, and, of course, moderates. And upstart actors. Now, once you're armed with one of these super lists of enemies, you can be as nasty as you like and yet feel your behaviors morally justified. So you can strut around abusing people and telling them you could eat them for breakfast and still think of yourself as a champion of the truth, a fighter for the greater good, and not the rather sad paranoid schizoid that you really are.
All right, so I sent Mick 3 albums to review, and we're going to flip-flop each month. He sent me 3 to do next month, but this is my time.
Nice.
And well, first, before we jump into these 3 album reviews, this is newly added to the Coffee and Hardcore setup list. So Mick was not sent this, but I want to know what your 3 guilty pleasure bands, solo artist, or album go-to is. And you need to be real about it.
Oh, are you serious right now?
I'm serious, because I wrote down 3, and
Okay.
I am not proud of them.
All right.
People are going to tune off when they hear my last one, and they won't hear the reviews.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Okay.
So three guilty pleasures. Here we go.
Yeah, man.
Ready?
Yep.
All
Yep.
right. The first one is going to be Mumford and Sons.
Ooh, they turned it off already. I'm just kidding. I got a worse one for you.
Let's see. Mumford and Sons. Gosh, this is, oh man.
If you got to go to your wife about it.
No. I got one because I already know there's a lot of people that hate this band, but honestly, in the last, I don't know, maybe 3 years, 4 years of my life, I've grown to appreciate them and love them. And I don't care if it makes me or if it marks me, but I love the Beatles, and they are a guilty pleasure.
Oh, come on, Beatles. Here's the thing about the Beatles. They wrote 1,000 songs, and they have like 50 good ones. If you write 1,000 songs, you better have at least
That's
50
true.
good ones.
That's true.
All right, next one.
Next one. Oh man. Guilty pleasure band. Dang it.
Take it to the wife. She'll always tell you the truth.
She already went to bed. I'm gonna have to say.
Oh yeah, you're an hour ahead of me. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say. I'm trying to think of someone that'd be really just like that I listen to all the time, but I know if somebody heard me listen to them, they'd be like, "Serious right now?"
I have those fans.
Oh gosh, I'm just gonna. It's gonna be a song because
just out with it.
Out with it. There's times when I catch myself singing that stupid song from the '80s. Everybody's working for the weekend.
Oh yeah, everybody's working for the weekend.
The name of that band is called Loverboy.
Oh, nice.
You know what? Since we brought that up, I do have a band, Huey Lewis and the News.
They're my first one.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so my first one is Huey Lewis and the News.
Nice.
Lately, because I grew up, my favorite movie as a kid was Back to the Future.
Okay, yes.
And so I knew Huey Lewis, but I didn't really I only knew his hits, you know what I mean? Like my dad liked Huey Lewis, so I'd hear my dad playing him on the radio and stuff like that. But I recently dove into Huey Lewis and the News because I was singing a song, like a parody song to our dog. And the song got like stuck in my head. And so I was like, I got to go listen to this song. And I started listening to it. And then the next song played and I was like, I know this song. And the next song played. I'm like, I know this song.
So you started getting into the deep cuts.
Yeah. So I've just been Spotify binging Huey Lewis and the News for the last like 2 weeks. That is what I've been listening to.
I do that all the time. So yeah.
So I'm Huey Lewis and the Newsing it up. I go so far though. Like I know so much about him now. I go and watch interviews. I watched interviews and I know he's going deaf and it's so sad.
Yes, it is.
Very sad. So anyways, to move this along, I also have the 90s band Everclear.
Oh my.
But one album, So Much for the Afterglow. I loved that album. And then this is the one where people are going to turn off coffee and hardcore and be like, these guys don't even talk about hardcore or coffee. And this is a country singer from the 90s, and I know it's unforgivable, goes by the name of Alan Jackson. And I'll go as far as to say last weekend on a Sunday, I sat down on the couch with my lady and Libby, and we watched Alan Jackson 90s music videos for at least an hour.
Oh my gosh, dude. Wow.
Yeah, I'm that bad.
Wow.
All right, we're diving in here. 3 album reviews. This is from a band called Skullcrack. I absolutely love this band. I found them online and I bought all their stuff, supported this band. I started talking to the bass player on chat, whatever you youngsters call your chatting on your typey keyboard things. And super nice guy, super rad band. Turned to Dust, 2019. It's their newest one so far on Bandcamp. Let's pull it up here so we can look at it here. The artwork is phenomenal, by the way. What do you think of the artwork of this band?
I'm trying to remember who they remind me of. They remind me the artwork reminded me of when I was a teenager and I was into Iron Maiden for a hot second. That's what it reminds me of.
I still love Iron Maiden. I used to steal my uncle. He had the Seventh Son of the Seventh Son on a cassette tape where Eddie's coming through the water and he's holding his heart.
Yes.
And his his spine is like disconnected or whatever.
Right.
And that artwork just blew my mind. I would steal that tape. There I go stealing again. And listen to it on the bus. And my uncle gets so pissed that he would be like, "Stop taking my Iron Maiden tapes." But yeah, the artwork is what got me into this band, to be honest.
That's
I won't
awesome.
lie. I'm a huge artwork guy with bands. I feel like artworks, you got to have good music, but your artwork has to be really good because it's the first thing people see. That's always been my motto. But this is a 13. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think the artwork fits the music too.
Oh,
it does.
yeah.
The two, I can hear the whatever the thing is on the front cover screaming the lyrics. That's what I hear when I look at
like
it.
like the skeleton melted
Yes.
monster person.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
'cause
totally fits.
It's a great mix of hardcore. It's a great mix of punk, thrash. I don't know, crossover thrash. Like they mix so much stuff in here, and the musicianship of this band is incredible.
The
like,
solos.
The solos are incredible. The guitar player is incredible. Vocals, incredible. The way this dude sings, I love it. I just love this band. I love that raspy. I think this band should be huge. Like this, they have it all. They have the whole package. Nice dudes, amazing artwork. The band name is rad. This music is rad. I suggest can we put a link up to their Bandcamp so people can go.
Oh yeah, we'll totally do that. Yep.
It's got that 80s look to it.
Yep.
It's weird because it's got like an 80s mixed with like newer style music though, I think.
Oh yeah.
Like they do a good job mixing the styles to keep it still fresh, you know?
I'll give you two tracks that really stand out to me. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
The track "Cut Me Loose,"
Mm-hmm.
and then the track "Hate Your Guts."
Oh yeah, I like that one a lot. Hate Your Guts. Yeah.
The first time I heard those two tracks, when I listened through it the first time, and I always listen for things that catch my attention. It instantly reminded me of the band Integrity.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, Cleveland, Ohio hardcore. It just,
Yeah.
I don't know what it was about it, but it just instantly reminded me of that. Gave me that same kind of just smack your mom kind of feel.
Was
was
that-
like,
because it's
yes.
like super driving.
Yes, yeah, super
Yeah.
driving, super, and the intense
drums.
vocals. Yes,
Yeah.
the vocals that make you feel like the singer is going to come through your.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it would have
Exactly.
been a CD player. It would have come through your CD player and grab your throat and be like, that's kind of what it felt like to me.
So there's this record that they had that came out in 2017 called Full Blast, and I absolutely I like this new record, but that Full Blast record is my favorite. It's a 7-inch. I have it. I have the actual 7-inch. The artwork is so good. The artwork to the new one, Turn to Dust, is amazing because of the colors that they use. I love that they take one color scheme and like this is like super black and white 80s style like that. I know like metal and crossover and stuff like that use tons of colors. Like I get that. But they do like both. Like they use the vibrant colors with keeping it like old school punk looking too. Because old school punk was very black and white. I went to Kinko's and put this on the copy machine, or I went to my work when no one was there. I went in an hour early and stole 100 copies for my 7-inch.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Kids today have no idea what we had to go through. Like seriously, Kinko's. Just think about it. And
That's right.
Seriously, you can't. Can you even be in hardcore today if you've never been to Kinko's? Anyway, so I'm sorry. I should have never brought that up.
Well, yeah, you can if you were born when Kinko's didn't exist. But no, it's true. Like I remember in like the early 2000s when people started using like computers for more graphic design stuff, I was like, all I knew was copy and cut out and paste.
Yep.
Like that's how we made our flyers, and we got really good at them. And so actually for a few years, I started doing these color flyers, but all by hand. I'll send you some of them.
Whoa.
They're actually they're pretty rad. It kind of reminds me of these album covers a little bit. That's why I like them. But they take like that black and white old school like photocopied look, but add like one or two colors that are so vibrant that just makes you look at it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Full Blast record right now, and it looks legit. It's sweet.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's my favorite one. Musically, it's my favorite too. But dude, I don't know how we're rating these things, but I give it 5 coffee beans if that's a thing.
Ooh, nice. Nice.
Because I think it's a full package.
Okay.
What do you think? You down with that?
I'm down, but I think I might, just because and I haven't listened to their other stuff, but this one, because the album's long, it's got like a ton of tracks.
It is long.
Sometimes I kind of felt like it almost was repetitive.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about hardcore punk.
Yeah.
You're right. I remember having this talk with Mike Perlmutter. He was in 2 Minute Minor for a minute, but he was also in Crash Dog, Head Noise. But the band that we were talking about, they put out an album, was Anti-World System.
Okay, yes.
He just wanted to do EPs. He's like, look, our songs are very similar. They're very fast. The drum beats are all the same. The guitar riffs are similar. Like, dude, let's put out 5-6 songs so people want more. And I remember some people in the band were like, no, we want to put out, a 10, 13 song album. So they put it out. And I felt the same thing about that record. Like when they put their demo out, it was 4 or 5 songs. And I was like, dude, this is so good. It makes you want more.
Right.
But when they put their full length out, I was like,
I had the same thoughts about that album too when they put out the full length. I was like,
yeah,
after a while. But I will say this: you said 5. I'm going to say 4.8.
Okay.
Coffee beans. So it's not that far apart.
Just because you felt like it got a little repetitive,
just a little. I don't want to get beat up by these guys if I ever run into them.
I think they're too nice. And I don't think they take themselves that seriously. But they're amazing musicians.
Oh yeah, amazing. Yes.
Yeah. When I talked to the dude, I could sense that they have a pretty good sense of humor.
Nice.
But no, I do hear that because the reason I really like Full Blast is it's shorter.
Yeah.
It's I think it's like 8 or 9 tracks, and it's but all the songs are really short because it's on a 7-inch. 2 Minute Minor does that. Like we put out, so I think one album we had like 12 songs on a 7-inch. You can only put 15 minutes worth of music on a 7-inch.
Wow.
So
is that the first one?
No, the first one was only 8 songs.
Only 8 songs.
But I feel that same way too. Like we had sat down and talked about doing a full length record one time, which is going to be an actual half hour. And Bob and I were like, are people even going to listen to this whole thing? Like, don't people only listen to like your first 3 songs like nowadays?
Right.
But I digress. Okay. So the next one is Battle Royale. The guys who so awesomely did our theme song. Mike, we're going back to Mike because Mike works with me. Mike is a good friend. We used to do Bible study together, and he's actually the best man at my wedding in October.
Oh, nice. And
he is the pickiest person I have ever met musically, which is not a bad thing, but it is a bad thing when your work area, because we make screens for T-shirts. We're the ones who burn them and make the screens. We're back there together, and we have a cassette tape player, and we have cassettes.
Nice.
So luckily, we have a good array of cassettes that we both agree on. But Battle Royale is one of these cassettes. Because remember, we talked about we made 25 tapes for these bands, and they were one of them.
Right.
To just try to help out the scene during quarantine when people didn't have money, and because I wanted their album on tape, I own it on vinyl. You know what? I have 2 of them. I'm going to send you one of their vinyls.
Shut the front door.
I'm doing it. I'm sending it to you. You're getting one.
Nice.
I'm sending it to you. I'm going to send it to you with your present that I talked about.
Ooh.
So
I get all kinds of things.
Oh, I still got to order the coffee for us for the next.
Oh yeah.
Coffee and Hardcore. I forgot to do that, but I will do that. I'll make myself a note. So Battle Royale, Chicago. Played with them a handful of times. Dudes are awesome. They came from this band called Crime Spree. The guitar player did, I think, the drummer also, if I'm not mistaken. And that band was also super awesome. They have a different singer now, which I love Crime Spree's vocals because I love that gritty, dirty vocals, but I really love Battle Royale's. But I'd have to say just a little bit more because it's just got that little bit more energy and a little bit more oomph, and it sounds like old school hardcore, but his voice is super unique to me.
Right. Yes.
And this is a record out of these 3 that we're reviewing that I listen to the most. Because Mike and I can agree on this record. Mike is like, I put this on and he was blown away. And he said, these guys are amazing. he's like, this is new music? I'm like, yeah, dude, it came out last year. He's like, I can't believe it. This is the best new music I've ever heard. And for Mike to say that, you guys are doing something good.
Well, this is what I like about it. One, it's just straight up. There's no like fluff.
None.
It's just like, this is who we are.
Yes.
Deal with it, because I'm going to punch you in the face. So it's just like,
yeah,
just straight up hardcore. And then,
yeah. Dude, it kicks your teeth out when you listen to it.
Yes. And then on top of it, the name Battle Royale, like you feel like you're going to get in a fight to begin with.
Yeah.
And then to me, it just when I listened to it, it was like going to a show in a city that I've never been before, and a local band got up and played and totally blows you away. And you're like, I have to go buy that record like right now. I'm not even going to stay and watch the next band play. I'm going to go buy their record or
go home and listen to it.
Right. I don't care if my band's playing next. I'm not setting up. I'm going to go buy a freaking record. And
how can I go on after them?
Right. But
no. Well, speaking of, this album is 18 tracks, okay? and we were just kind of talking shit about the last band for having like what 12 or 13 tracks.
Right.
But most of these songs are like, I don't know, 27 seconds, a minute 6, 44 seconds, a minute 46, 56 seconds, a minute 10, 44 seconds. Like, but it doesn't feel like those songs are so short, because it feels like it feels like you're getting kicked so hard in the face that when the song finally stops, you can breathe for a second until you start getting kicked in the face again.
Right.
It's perfect.
It is.
And Jim, the guitar player, sent me tracks to 2 EPs that they have that they have done, but they haven't put out yet. He sends me all this new music. I'm telling you, it makes me want to quit doing music because it's so good. I'm not just trying to be nice. I'm like, why are you guys so good?
Right.
And that's why I reached out to them to do Coffee and Hardcore, because I don't know, man, this band is better than most big hardcore bands.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, and they stay true to that 80s hardcore style and sound and grit. But it's like professional. Okay, it sounds like they put out a professional album in the 80s.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like.
It has that feel to it. And I'm all about picking tracks, but the 2 tracks that stuck out to me was Tomorrow Never Comes.
Mm-hmm. Second song.
Yeah, the last part of that song, just like, and the way it ends is just like, okay, we did all this, now I'm just gonna kick you. Like, and then for some reason, just because everything that's happening right now, the song Politicians was me. It just kind of stood out.
That's a great message. Basically calling out all the bullshit all the politicians do.
Yeah.
That is a great side. That's a great song. Excuse me. And I love that they have Southside pride. My lady's from the South Side, so I really only knew the North Side until her and I started dating, and now I go to the South Side and visit her parents and her brother. I was like, "This is Chicago?" Like, I remember we went to like this bodega place, but the whole band, the whole 2 Minute Minor, we're doing the Up the Pups benefit show where we raise money for the shelter. The dog shelter. And it was insane because we were all sitting like at this bodega place, but you could order food. And I remember I got up to go get a Topo Chico, and this police officer was standing right by it, and he goes, "Oh, excuse me, sir," and moved out of my way. And I was like, what universe are we in? Where a cop just called me sir? Like, what is this South Side you speak of? Like, and just everyone was so nice. We were walking down the street. This gentleman was paving the street, and he moved out of our way so we could walk by. I'm like, this would never happen on the North Side. We're a bunch of a-holes. Like, But this next record is from a band called Worst Self, and this one is called Everyone Is Replaceable, and this also came out in 2019. All three of these records came out in 2019, and they are all the newest releases from these bands. And Worst Self is a band that I know because they were in a band called Brothers from Michigan. And Brothers was one of my favorite hardcore bands in the mid 2000s. And we played with them a couple times. Joel, who plays bass and sings in Worst Self, was the singer of Brothers, and he also played bass in Comeback Kid. And Joel actually recorded 6 albums that I've done in my lifetime at his Studio Odie. And the Odie brothers, the guitar player and bass player, are twins. They're twin brothers. I went to high school with them. So anyways, this band is phenomenal. Brothers was more of like a positive kind of hardcore band. This band is the opposite of that. Which I love because I'm all about positive hardcore. I'm in a positive hardcore band. But Slapshot is one of my favorite bands, and they are the opposite of positive, and I'm okay with it. I love aggression. I love negativity at times when it's used when it's used correctly. It can be used correctly.
It can.
And I think they use their negativity and their anger and their frustrations properly on this record. What are your thoughts?
This is what I'm going to say about this album. If I was a young warthog, a young kid again, this would be, if this band played live, I would be in the pit killing people.
Okay.
That's where I am with this.
But
no, there is no but. It is seriously the most out of these three, as far as emotion goes, this is the most. This one stirred up the most emotions in me when I listened to it.
Oh, for sure.
And the song "I Failed You," when he says "one last kiss goodbye," just the violence probably isn't the right word, but the emotion that not a whole. It was like this sad anger. You could feel it coming out, and you're like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, you could tell that this record was therapeutic, 100%.
Yeah,
and because it's real, and because you can tell that it's legit and not being played, like he's not faking his emotions here. This is like real life. This is real life. Like this stuff could come out of a diary.
Yes.
Like you hear that and you feel it, and it makes you that more connected to this record.
You went too far. I don't toe the line. I fucking cross it. Try and stop my flame out. I'll burn down every bridge on my way down.
Right. Like,
do you agree with that?
Totally agree. Like the first 2 albums we talked about, which were both really good, and they both are fun, right? Fun and powerful. But this one, the Worst Self album, and because when you sent this one to me, I was like, oh yeah, like because I had already been listening to that album a whole lot. I hadn't heard Skullcrack or Battle Royale.
Oh, you have been listening to?
No. But I had been listening to Worst Self, but I hadn't been listening to Skullcrack or Battle Royale. So that was a treat. That was like, yeah, something new. But Worst Self I've been listening to for a while now, probably since that album first came out. And so it was already hitting me in the feels. So to go back and listen to it again was
How did you hear about this album?
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think one of the guys from Bitter Truth posted it in their Instagram feed or whatever. And I'm like, I got to check that out. And it was right when it came out. And so I just downloaded the album and I was like, holy cow, this is ridiculous. Like just
I bought 3 of these vinyl because they came out with 3 different kind.
That's right. And they had a sweet shirt too. I totally missed out on that.
They're making hats though. And I told them when they make them that I better be the first person they tell. But they came out with this album called Liars in I think 2017. Let me make sure. So I'm not. Yes, 2017. And this first record has got a UFO on the front, and I have that on tape, and we listened to that in the room also. It's a little too heavy for Mike, so
Right.
he's not like the biggest fan of it. But dude, when I put on Liars, because I have that on tape, and so I listen to that a lot at work, and I have the other one on 3 vinyls. But when I listen to that first Liars record, oh my gosh, it just, have you heard that one yet?
No, I haven't heard that one yet. I need to.
It's
get that one.
so heavy in all the right ways. Heavy and slower, but still steady like a train.
Nice.
It's a great record. I think Everyone's Replaceable is a beautiful follow-up record for sure.
Oh, wait a second. I'm looking at the album cover, and I have listened to that before. It is really good because I really like the song. I really like the song "Balance" off that album. So yeah, that's killer.
Dude. So what we're gonna do on Coffee and Hardcore, we're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna put links, Mick's gonna put links to all these band camps.
Yes.
To go support them. We're gonna put a link to Marshall's coffee company that they're raising money for the adoption, and any other links. We'll post a link to the 2-minute miner, how to get that 1 inch and how to raise some money for suicide prevention.
Nice.
We're going to put a link. We're also going to put a link into getting the new Zayo record that Mick is on. You can get it on CD, cassette tape, or vinyl.
Yep.
So
nice.
That's it for Coffee and Hardcore for this month. We will see you next month, and we have some guests lined up, and I will be listening to Mick's 3 choices. So see ya.
Hey, this is Jim Chaffin from The Crucified, The Blamed, Face Down. You're talking hardcore, talking coffee. You're talking coffee and hardcore with Mick Cox and Wiley Willis.
All right, as promised, here are the 2 theme songs that Battle Royale recorded. And you guys tell us, do we make the right decision in picking our theme song? You guys choose. Send us a message. Let us know. Thank you guys once again for hanging out with us. This is Coffee and Hardcore.